Congratulations to the top three finishers of the 2019 British Grand Prix. In third place, Charles Leclerc. In second place, Valtteri Bottas, and taking the 80th win of his career, his 7th of 2019, and a record 6th at Silverstone, Lewis Hamilton. Well, Lewis, many congratulations. Sensational pace from you all afternoon, culminating in that fastest lap on the final lap of the race. Undoubtedly helped by the safety car, but you had a lot of pace today.
Yeah, today was, this is one of the best days that I can remember having. I was just thinking just downstairs that I remember my first win here in 2008, and the feeling that I had coming out of Brooklands and going down the straight towards, at the time, the start and finish line, and seeing the crowd. Felt so reminiscent of that today. And just the excitement and the happiness and joy that I felt was exactly the same as then. And the reason I say that is just that I've done so many races, you know. You would think that you'd get used to it, or it would the feeling would numb down. But it felt just as amazing as the first win that I'd ever had. So really, really grateful to all of those people that have helped me achieve this today. You know, I've got this incredible team. There's almost 2,000 people I always mention in our team, and we got to see them yesterday at like a family fun fair kind of event that they do, and yeah, they will never truly know just how grateful I am. But you know, it's really amazing to be a part of this team and be breaking down walls and records and pushing the limits and the boundaries every weekend. And you never know if you're really going to be able to deliver a day like today. But me and Valtteri had such a good fight. I got him turn 7, and then he was on the inside, but when we pulled out the corner, I couldn't really see where he was. He was in my blind spot. It wasn't in my mirror, but I couldn't see him next to me either. So I couldn't close the door just in case he was there, and he happens to be there, obviously. And when he drove sensationally well there. And so I was like, hey, I got to back off, wait till he stops, and then nail it after that. And then obviously, I was going to do a few more laps, I think, and hopefully do like undercut, catch him up, etc. But safety car came out, and it was perfect timing. So,
Lewis, many congratulations.
Thank you.
Valtteri, coming on to you, tough day for you. Second at Silverstone for the 3rd time now. Safety car came out at just the wrong time. Was the plan always to make 2 stops?
Yeah, well, it was maybe not my luckiest days, but that's life. Obviously, Lewis drove well. He's got a massive support here, so you know, congrats for the win. But obviously, yeah, just we had good racing in the beginning, and I really enjoyed it. You know, that's why we're here, to race hard and fair. I'm sure Toto didn't maybe enjoy it as much as we did, but it doesn't really matter. So. But yeah, everything after my first stop felt like under control. I was following the gap closely, the pit stop gap I had to Lewis, and was just waiting for him to stop. And obviously, safety car got him ahead of me at that point. And then I was kind of stuck into a 2-stop at that stage, because we stopped for the medium again from medium tire. So it meant, anyways, I had to stop in the end, which was a mistake from our side. So 2-stop we thought will be by far the fastest, but actually 1 stop was possible as well, so not quite ideal, but one of these days. But at least felt like the pace was good today and yesterday, so it's positives to take, and also really, really happy for us as a team getting maximum points, and it's pretty impressive, the gap to the teams behind now, so for sure it makes me very, very proud of us. But in any case, I'm still super hungry for the win, so looking forward to into 2 weeks.
Well done, Valtteri. Thanks for that. Great dice between you and Lewis. And another man who was involved in great dices today was Charles. That battle between you and Max in particular, reminiscent of your karting days. Was it clean? Were you happy with the way you fought?
Very happy. That's definitely the most fun I've ever had in my Formula 1 career. Well, it's a short career, it's only 1 year and a half, but it was definitely very, very fun from inside the car. Yeah, I think Austria was quite an eye-opener for me to understand how far we could go and what was accepted. and I'm very happy at the end to race like this. I think every driver wants to race hard, and that's what we did during most of the race. So yeah, it was very, very fun, always borderline, but I think always in the rules, and it was very enjoyable from the car.
Okay, well done, Charles. Let's open this to the floor now. Please remember to give your name and publication. First question, please.
Phil Duncan, PA. Congratulations, Lewis, on your victory. I know you're not one necessarily for records, but obviously this is quite a big one. You've won the British Grand Prix 6 times more than any other driver in the history of sport. You know, it's your home race, a race that's been on the calendar for 70 years, and now you hold that record. I mean, how special, amazing does that feel for you?
Yeah, it's it feels incredible. You know, I've not ever been one to really look at statistics. You know, I really take it one race at a time, and I like the approach that I have with that. And I came here this weekend. I think I heard people talking about the amount of qualifying poles that I'd had here, but I don't really take any notice of it. I'm just trying to do the best I can and seeing if I can achieve it. But it's great to be able to have the opportunity to shoot for it. I had no idea. I didn't really, unless I stop and think of how many wins I have, I didn't know whether it was 4 or 5 or whatever it was here. So to then hear that I have 6, and it's, you know, to be up there with the greats, you know, it's really, you know, I remember growing up watching this sport and watching a lot of the greats and meeting a lot of the greats and even working with one of the greats, and to now to be, you know, to be up there with them is one of the coolest things.
Thank you, Lewis. Next one.
Giles Richards, The Guardian. Congratulations, Lewis. Yesterday you faced questions about the nature of your Britishness, and today, after the win, you immediately picked up the Union flag, took it on the podium. You're obviously very proud. Did it mean much more to you to do that at this race? To
win here at this race?
Yeah, and to, you know, to wave the flag at this race.
Yeah, this is the greatest single moment of any athlete in the world, to raise their flag as the #1 or with the gold, whatever it may be, in their home country. It's one of the single most incredible feelings and special moments an athlete can have. So, you know, I come here, I've got this incredible support, and, you know, they always talk about how much does it lift you up, and it's a huge amount of energy, but a lot of weight comes with that, you know, a lot of responsibility. You know, people save up so much money to come to this Grand Prix, and everyone's buying merchandise and flags, and you just want to deliver for them so much, not only for yourself and your own ability, you know, you can do it, but with a team. I got like 40 family members here, you know, from my mum's side, from my dad's side, a bunch of them from the Caribbean, you know, so I just really, really wanted to deliver. And when you achieve something like today, and you see all those British flags, I was looking the whole time for a flag. Someone give me a flag, because, you know, one day I'm going to look back and I'm going to have the picture of me in the car with that flag, and I'll always be able to smile till my dying day.
Thank you. Next one.
Fred Frey, L'Équipe. Question to Charles. How difficult was it to defend against Marx? And what is your favorite move during that 10 laps battle?
Very difficult. I think we have got some work to do on our race pace and try to keep these tires as good as Mercedes and Red Bull are doing. I think we are a little bit struggling on that. The best move was probably the one on Max on the outside in Copse. Is that Copse? Yeah, I think he just passed me, and I passed him back around the outside of Copse. That was definitely one of the most exciting of the race, of my race.
Thank you, Charles. Next one.
Luis Vasconcelos from La Presse for Lewis and Valtteri. Was it always planned that you'd go on split strategies, or that the second car would go to a different strategy? And if it wasn't, what was your reaction when you realized that was happening?
Lewis.
We have the meetings in the morning, and they do thousands of simulations of the different strategies. So we're shown, you know, a handful of them, maybe 10 different strategies that could happen if we lose position, if we hold position, if we switch positions, all these different things. And it's very difficult for a team because we are a team, but then individually we want to win. So the team has to do the best and most balanced approach for both of us. And most of the simulations come out with, ultimately the first car. If you do a good enough job in qualifying, the first car generally gets priority, etc. And it gets quite hard to overtop that unless you do it on track or undercut and those kind of things. So we had discussed the opportunity of, I think the fastest way to the end of the race was medium hard, I believe. But there were alternative strategies, and that was something I looked into, and I had already decided at the beginning of the race that I was going to take the medium in the middle stint and extend my first stint to 20 or 21 or whatever it was. Did I know that we were going to stay on the one stop? No. But we kind of have to be strategists almost a little bit inside ourselves, and it's something we're constantly working on, trying to finesse, because it's always different. There's always new figures that have to be put in and from each race, and no one ever gets it perfect. But the cool thing is it enabled us to race today. What they probably didn't expect is that we were going to push so much at the beginning. I think we were expecting to save our tires and stuff, but we were racing pretty hard, which is how racing should be, So I'm happy we were able to do that today.
Thank you. Next one. Oh, sorry, and Valtteri. Valtteri, your thoughts on strategy? Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely there was an idea to split the cars. One of us going for the hard for the second stint, but still the idea was to do for that car medium hard, medium hard soft. So one stop honestly was out of question today, and that was a mistake from our side. So it was by far the quickest strategy today for our car, the medium hard, and we thought it would be much slower. So for sure, a learning point for us.
Thank you, Valtteri. Next one.
Ben Hunt from The Sun. Maybe F1 isn't broke after all. We've had 2 good tracks, 2 good races. Is it just the case that we need to tweak these Mickey Mouse tracks a little bit and just get some more excitement back in?
Who's that for, Ben?
Whoever wishes to answer all 3 if possible.
Why don't we have all 3? Charles, let's start with you.
Yeah, I mean, Silverstone and Austria are two good tracks, I think, to overtake on, and I think it's good for the show. I think battle were quite good from 3rd place onwards, but Mercedes are still very, very quick. So if we can all close the gaps to them, will be even more exciting. But definitely the track has an important role in overtaking, and the last 2 ones are good examples. So if we can have more of them on the calendar, I think it could be a good thing for F1.
I think probably in the history of the sport, the drivers have never been a part of the decision making in terms of advising on tracks. We know better than anybody which track we can overtake and which track we can't. And unfortunately, I don't know who does the selection, but I know it's not that they always have a ton of tracks in every country that are possible to race a Grand Prix, but there are ones that they're selecting for the future that we're going to have not such great racing, the ones that are on the calendar that aren't great. People always ask me which are my favorite tracks, and this is one of them because you can follow. It's just spectacular with the high speed. Austin, Texas is built like that as a new circuit. And but then we've got places where you just can't follow, and it's like a train. And so what would you prefer, just having a race in those countries just for the sake of having a race, or you want a great race like this? And if so, then we need to look at the different options in the different countries. I think a really cool track they used to have in Hockenheim, and it still is awesome, but the big long one they used to have was quite unique. There was always good racing there, but they changed it. Austria was great, but I think the old track was even better, from what I was told by Nicky. And so I think that's something hopefully the GPA can be a part of in this next this next step in 2021 rules. We can be a part of advising on that. We're there to help make the sport better. And if they're open to, we're happy having the Grand Prix in these different countries, but if they're open to the ideas of even changing or adapting some of the circuits or using a different circuit in the countries, then we should look into that.
And Valtteri?
Yeah, I agree completely. Definitely it's all about selection of the tracks. I'm sure many of the track selections for the calendar is just pure political reasons and money, rather than actually focusing if it's good for racing or not. And from our side, it's not that nice. We love racing. Everyone loves good racing. So that's how it should be. And like Lewis said, we are, as a GPDA, we are very keen to give our input, because we are in the car. We know exactly which type of tracks we need to have good racing. We have the feeling. So we're very, very happy to help. And obviously big plans with new cars, everything for 21. So hopefully it is going into a better direction. So fingers crossed.
Thank you. Next one.
Christian Minat, motorsportmagazin.com. First of all, congratulations, Lewis. Question for you. You could have had a free pit stop in the end to go on softer tires as well. You knew Valtteri was going for the fastest lap on the soft tire at the end. Why didn't you choose the extra stop? Were you so confident that you have the extra pace in the old hard tires in the end?
No, it was really, why take the risk, in my opinion. Yes, I had a pit stop window, but there's the entry of the pit lane, there's the stop, there's the extra pressure on the mechanics to do the pit stop, and they're it's not that I doubt them at all, but you just give chance to it. And I'd saved enough in the tires. I felt good with the hard tire was really great. It could keep going. So it's obviously a very, very solid tire. And I did have some blistering, so I was kind of conflicted. I was like, should I stop? And I think it would have brought us back closer. And I was just like, it's 7 laps left. It's very, very hard to catch a 21-second delta at the pace that I can still do. So I decided it's rare that I go up against the team, but I decided today that was the best thing for me. And I don't think that we thought that a 2-stop was the best thing, and it just worked out today that I was able to save the tires meant that we could do a 1. And my long run on Friday was one of the best long runs that I'd done, and everyone else was running out of tires except for me. So tried to utilize that today, and it worked.
Thank you. Next one.
Luke Smith, Crash.net. Lewis, you spoke about the battle with Valtteri. Could you just talk about the importance of the trust that you built up with your teammate and being able to enter that wheel-to-wheel battle, knowing it's going to be a hard but clean and fun battle?
Yeah, honestly, I think, look, it's no secret that Valtteri wants to beat me and I want to beat him, and that fighting spirit is stronger than anything, between, for him individually, for all of us. I think it's so vital, though, to have a respect. I know how hard it is to get a pole here. He did a fantastic job yesterday. I know how hard it is to wake up and to deliver every weekend, as do these other drivers, so the respect is there between us. And I think we want to race wheel to wheel and tough. When you're racing with a teammate, it's on a different level, because if I was racing a Ferrari, you take more risks. Still respectful, but you can lean on them a bit more. But as teammates, we sit down at the beginning of the race. We talk about turn 1 and how we're going to respect each other, make sure we don't collide. And even when I overtook him and he was coming back, I could have swooped across the front and blocked him, but that's not the right thing to do. And ultimately, it enabled him to get back past. But that's racing, and it was really fair, and it was great. And honestly, I was hoping, I was looking forward to maybe some racing later. I was extending that first stint, hoping that I'd come out. He was doing some good time, so the gap was growing in terms of me coming out, maybe 1 second, 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds, and I was trying to keep it as little as possible before I finally stopped, so that when I came out, I had the advantage on the new tire and finally could catch him up and try to get past. But the safety car came out and kind of intervened, but that was awesome.
Valtteri, anything you'd like to add about your trust, your battle with Lewis?
No, I think that's very well said. That's how it is, and it's all good fun.
Okay, next question.
Keith Collentine, racefans.net. Lewis, following your comments a while ago about wanting to reduce the weight of Formula One cars, FIA President Jean Todt has suggested that one way of doing this would be to reintroduce refueling in the races. And some other suggestions he's made for increasing the unpredictability of races include getting rid of what he calls driver aids, such as your anti-stall devices, reducing the amount of telemetry on the cars, and getting rid of the virtual garages that teams use to conference back with the team back at base. What do you think about any of those suggested changes? And also Valtteri and Charles, if you have any thoughts on those.
I don't think that's going to, don't necessarily think that's going to make a big difference to racing. Do you think it will? I don't think particularly many of those are going to do much different, except for having a lighter car. They're constantly making these cars heavier and heavier and heavier every year, and we're going faster and we have more downforce. And the tires, it's really hard for Pirelli to develop a tire with such limited testing that can sustain that weight, etc., etc. And then the thermal deg, all these different things. It's like a domino effect. So with lighter cars, we could fight harder. If you look at the end of the race, the tires that we have at the end of the race, we can push more, we can race more at the end without so much of a drop-off like today. And that's because the car was lighter, on the lighter fuel load. So that might not be such a bad thing for us in the future, but there's a bunch of other elements that's not in that list that need to, I don't have them on the top of my head, but we, as a GPDA, we mentioned it.
Valtteri, anything to add? Return of refueling, reduction in data?
As long as the cars are lighter, it's always going to be better for everything, for racing and tires, everything. So whatever can be done for the weight is always going to be a bonus, and we're going to enjoy it more. Everyone is going to enjoy it more.
Charles?
Well, I don't know. I've never raced with refueling, but it was definitely one cool thing to see. So if it's back in Formula One, why not? I'll be happy to try. I think the main problem is still that the cars are probably too heavy. So these two things for me are separate things, but refueling can be a good idea. Then to limit the amount of informations to the box, or to stop. Did you say stop completely the telemetry from the garage, or reduced? Yeah. Yeah, I think we are quite limited in that the cars are so complex now that we also need to make them run, having the help of the engineers in the background. So yeah, maybe really reducing some informations, but I think we are quite limited into that just by the complexity of the cars now. So yeah, that's it.
Cars don't need to be 730 kilos. They just don't need to be that heavy. It used to be 600 or something, was it? 600 years ago, years and years ago. And I spoke to my engineers. I said, if they change the rules, we can make it that weight. We just have to take some things off the car, but we can make it lighter. Well, they could just take the performance items will come off, but they can do it.
Okay, thank you. Next question, please.
Is F1.com. Valtteri, in the lap 19, you had Lewis had only 17.4 seconds advantage of you, and according to what he said, now he would stop in 21 lap. So he probably would come back to the track with 5-6 seconds behind you. Can you make a comment? And Lewis, at the end of the race, you had 21 seconds advantage to Bottas, 33 laps with hard tires, and the last lap you try the fastest lap of the race. Your self-confidence would be in the clouds, right?
Valtteri, let's start with you.
I'm not quite sure it wasn't ever going to be 5-second gap. I think it was like 2 seconds before the safety car.
I think it was.
The pit stop gap. So, but I was basically controlling it because I knew Lewis will have tire advantage on the second stint because I stopped earlier, to also cover some cars behind, and he was continuing. So I knew that end of the second stint he's going to have great opportunity. So I tried to save the tires, not to push flat out in the beginning, and just to be sure that I'm going to be ahead when he stops. But then obviously with the safety car, he managed to jump ahead. So we missed the fight later on.
Well, none of us are only a few teams have driven the hard tire this weekend. We only had one hard each. But obviously the medium that we started on was quite durable for us. I know other teams struggled more and others less. But with this first stint was really, really mega between us. You know, it was only like 9/10 between us, or 1 second between us for most of it. And then he pitted. I wasn't planning to stop on lap 21. I was trying to see how far I could go. I was pushing it as far as I could, but I had to try and keep up the pace because he had new tires and he was doing generally better times. But the gap it went from 7/10 to a second to 1.5. He was out of my window, or in my window. Yeah, in my window of pit stop. And then it was getting to 2 seconds, so I was getting very close to having to stop anyways, but then the safety car came out. But it was around 2 seconds, so if I would come out, I would have been 2 seconds behind, and he would have been 5 lap older tires or something like that, 5 or 6 lap older tires. But you could see the pace he had even after when we restarted. He had really great pace on that tire, so wouldn't have been easy. The harder tire is actually slightly slower than the medium tire, so it would have been a difficult race, I think, between us, but not an impossible one. And but the thing is, he would have then had to stop again, and I knew I wouldn't have to stop. Generally, I kind of had a feeling I wasn't going to have to stop. The flying lap at the end, I mean, I didn't know what time I could do, to be honest, but I looked after the tires, and they felt pretty good, even though I had a bit of a vibration on the right front. And, you know, we have this fastest lap thing, which, I mean, can't say that I love it or anything like that, but it's still fun to push. And, you know, as you go through the race, you have to turn down your engine to save and fuel and all these kind of things. So for that last lap, everyone's kind of pushing at one point. And I heard at the time that he had done, and I was like, geez, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to that. And then I pushed for that lap, which was like, it was like the qualifying lap that I should have done yesterday, generally, probably. It was awesome. There's no better way to finish a race with just like on the edge of your seat and the car moving, and it was definitely the best last lap that I've ever had.
Thank you. Next one.
Stephen Camp, Motorsport Monday, motorsportweek.com. Question to both Mercedes drivers. Lewis, you set the fastest lap on the end of the race. It now means that you leave here with 39 points. So it's one of the biggest leads you've ever had at this point of the season. So was that one of the reasons behind that, to put the hurt on Valtteri and make sure that you have a big hand on this championship already? And to Valtteri, how does it feel that Lewis was able to do that on the 30-lap-old hard tyres and you were still on soft tyres? I'm not sure the life that you had on them, but they must have still had the pace to beat the lap that Lewis had done.
Lewis.
Well, ultimately, it's nothing personal between us, you know. Ultimately, you come into these weekends, you are trying to apply the pressure and come out on top. And I didn't come into this weekend with the idea of I need to extend or anything like that. Just I've got to work my way towards trying to win. How do I do that? And every weekend it's slightly different. But this has been the strongest year that I've, to this point, in the first 10 races, that I can remember ever having. So I definitely didn't think, you know, when we were in Barcelona, when we were driving that car, these guys were doing some really serious laps. We couldn't do that, and we were super nervous. And I think if we had left Barcelona without discovering some ultimate changes that we ended up making, we probably wouldn't be where we are right now. But still, the journey's been great, and we're going to go from strength to strength. We've got improvements coming. We're understanding the car a lot, massive download, and the technical direction is just the advancements that this sport makes and we make as a team, each team makes is amazing. So I'm excited to see the upgrades that other teams have and the improvements, for example, Ferrari make with their use of tyres, the improvements we make to downforce, all these different things. It's going to be good fun.
And Valtteri, your pace at the end?
I tried to go for the lap with a soft tire. Obviously had a bit more fuel at that point than Lewis, but surprised by the pace on the hards, and that shows Lewis managed really well the hard tire all through the stint, so the wear was quite low, so that was possible. And from our numbers, the hard tire seemed actually pretty solid, and seemed like. But you asked how does it make me feel? No feelings really. It was quicker lap time and that's it. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, next one.
Simon Arbley from Nevis Radio. Question for Charles. Previous races, your results have been a lot more consistent in comparison to Seb's results. Today we saw another mistake from Seb with his incident with Verstappen. There's only 3 points between you now in the championship. In the coming races, do you think maybe their focus might shift from previous races where you've had to give way to him?
Well, I don't know. I think the team is always acting for the benefits of the team, and that's the way I felt from the beginning of the season. Sometimes, obviously, one driver was advantaged, the other one was advantaged at another race. There have been more situations from the beginning of the year where he had to benefit from something. But I think the team is always looking at the benefits of the whole team, and that's how it will work for the rest of the season.
Thank you, gentlemen. That's all we've got time for. Well done today.